What up, though, people? It is your boy, Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, and you're rocking out with Woodward Pistons podcast. Listen, you guys already know Mr. Jeff Iafrady. He's doing the Morning Woodward show. We have some content planned that we're going to get him on, and we're also going to get him back on this show, too. We have a plan in play. But we got to get this drum roll going, and then I'll tell you guys why I am at a different location today. One that you guys might, it's familiar. You see it on the table talking some of the other platforms, but we're going to talk about it. First, though, let's get this drum roll going. Hey, yo, shout out to Detroit News Rod Beard, the legend. Brother, how are you doing? I am glad that you're on with me this morning, man. I really am.
No, I'm just glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. It's a Wednesday, so it's midweek. You gotta just plow through the rest of the week here.
Definitely. Well, look, people, I'm not in the studio this week. I had a surgery. They took care of it. Everything went good, went well. Your boy is healthy. But I just couldn't make it into the studio today. I'm grateful again for Rod being able to be up and be on.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Will it make your jumper better?
Oh, man, I'm about to be cold now. I think I can dunk again now.
All right, we good. We good with it then. We good with it.
I'm good. No, I told the guys because Stick, he wound up breaking his hand. We planned a whole league, bro. Stick broke his hand. I wound up having to go get surgery. Jeff's schedule is just, he's a celebrity now, so he can't hoop with us anymore. It's been a mess, man. But look, the league is gonna come back. We're gonna do this league. It's gonna be next year when everybody's healed up, and it's gonna be a fun time, man. It's gonna be a fun time. But yes,
let's do it.
Your question: the jumper is cold, man.
All
it's
right.
Cold. But look, the Pistons, they play the Hornets tonight. I thought they fought very, very well against the Lakers, but what are you going to do? Anthony Davis comes to Detroit every year, or when it was the Palace of Auburn Hills, and he does absolutely work against the Pistons, man. I don't know. It doesn't matter any big man we have, whatever roster we have. Anthony Davis loves playing against the Pistons. And then LeBron James, I heard from some people who were down courtside, they were like, LeBron James was cutting up before the game. Mm-hmm. He had heard that there was some dignitaries, some Detroit, legends in the building. He heard that there was some hip hop legends, some Motown, and he said, I'm about to put on a show tonight. It's about to be an effing show tonight. 35 points, and he looked like LeBron James. So look, they fought Bogey and Bay. They did a great job down the stretch, I thought. But what was your takeaway quickly from that Los Angeles Lakers game before we head into Pistons and Hornets?
You have to be at full strength to stay with the Lakers when they decide they want to play like that. That Anthony Davis, and I was at that Palace game. That is the most. That is one of the singular sporting event that I've been at that's just been
crazy.
There's nothing you can do with this dude. He can do whatever he wants. It felt like it was like you or me playing against some third graders. He's bigger than everybody. He's more skilled than everybody. You can foul him all you want. You don't have anybody on the court that can do anything with him, and he's shooting the ball. Know he's getting it. He can spot up from three. He can post you up. He can hit a midi. He can do whatever
jab, man.
He can do whatever he wants, and you just have to put bodies in his way. And people talk about the LeBron in the playoffs, the 25 points or whatever it was consecutive. There's that, and then there's just AD just deciding. And man put up 50. That
you remember that Palace game? I mean, you said you was there. That game, I was in the building. I was like, "What is going on?" And then it was just like, applaud great basketball. At a certain point in time, the basketball fan in you overtakes the Pistons fan. You got to accept reality. We're getting trounced. And Anthony Davis is putting up one of the most fantastic individual performances I saw with my own eyes. That there's not much you could do with it. I thought the Pistons being shorthanded actually fared kind of well. But obviously fans right now, they don't care if it's a rebuild, Rod. They don't care if they were supposed to make the plan or not. They're out for blood, man. It's like the sharks and blood has hit the water, and they are just like, our team is losing, our players are getting hurt, and people are just upset, man. All types of stuff is just starting to come out. All types of hypotheticals. Who should be traded? Who should be on the bench?
Hey, man, just turn the notifications off. Just turn them all off. It's no point. It's no point in even doing it.
It's wild. I was going through some notes and I was going through some things, and I'm like, man, people gotta chill. Like, think about it. Cade Cunningham is out for the season. This wasn't a guy that people thought, hey, he's going to be a decent second-year player. This is a guy that many thought could make a case for all-star game. That many people thought he would be putting up all-star stats. And when he started to get going, we saw he's that guy. We lost a huge piece in that. One of the things I need to do is make sure we continue with the Cade zone, because it feels as if during the summer when we had the Cade zone, the value and the presence, at least amongst our listeners, people continue to keep that present. Now it seems as if people believe we just lost a second-year player. We lost, in my estimation, a star from our squad. That's going to affect your whole entire team. And the fact that the team, since they lost Cade Cunningham, has actually won a few games, been a little bit more competitive. I don't know why people can't take their GM hat, zoom out real quick from the game-by-game basis, and realize this year was always a process year. Everybody always talk, well, I want to do a process like Philly. What if Troy found a way to do the process in like a singular year or two, rather than having to wait a long time to get the pieces you want? You know, so I don't know, man. I another thing I caution is this: one of our most promising players that we are depending on to start is one of the youngest players in the league, in Jalen Duren. Jaden Ivey, young player, like, you know what I mean? We're such a young team that Sadiq Bey almost looks like a vet because he played 4 years in college at Nova. You know, it's I don't know, man. I want people to, more than chill out, I want them to be able to look at this thing with clear eyes, man, like Troy Weaver would. Look at this thing as a GM. Next year is the year where, when you got all this cap space, not just draft capital, but now we realizing trade capital as well. If they come back next year and it's similar stuff, and they're at full strength, and they're not winning, they're not looking competitive, Rod, I'll be the first one to be on here just going ham. I really will, you know. But the reality is, this is a young team, man. It's a young team. It's a new team. It's guys still learning to play the game. And that's why I love the fact that Coach Casey, he speaks ad nauseum about this. He's like, man, look, some of these guys would not be playing if we were in contention, playoff contention mode. Right now, we're trying to teach these guys so that these can be the guys we have doing playoff contention mode.
And that's what was so important about getting Boyan. And people said, well, they're going to get him, and they wanted to flip him, and he's a trade piece now. You need to teach guys how to win, and you can't do it with all young guys. And Troy said before, you can't have all young guys because they'll eat each other up. But you also need to have veterans around them that can show them how to win. And people said, well, why is Corey Joseph back? Why is Rodney Magruder still on this roster? We could have flipped him and gotten another draft pick. Because you need these vets to be able to guide the way. Somebody on the bus needs to know which door you're going in for the locker room. If everybody's a young guy, you don't remember how to get into certain just little stuff,
bro.
Very little stuff.
If it wasn't for this, shout out James Edwards, man. Listen, I get it. My first year on the beat in the arena, and I walked in there and I was just standing. I was like, I have no idea where to go. I was even looking at the directions. They give you the directions. It still was confusing as a new guy. James just so happened to be walking by and was like, oh, what up, Kool-Aid? He's like, man, good to see you here. He was like, you don't know where you're going, do you? I was like, no. He said, let me show you the shortcut. He didn't even take me the way of the directions. He was like, you beat writer, you in here. We go down these stairs and walk across the floor. Yep. We do this and that and the other. And it was just like, and then Mike Curtis, he showed me all the little back ways to get around to the press conference room and all of that. And it's just like, you know, if you don't have these people that have been there before, how can you effectively not just do your job? Sometimes it's about, can you cut the line a little bit? Yep. And those vets can help you cut the line. People forget there's practices, there's road trips. You need guys who can be the big bro on some of those road trips. You need guys who they're so comfortable with these players that maybe Corey Joseph is the type of guy who says, you know what? I would love to chase a ring with somebody else, but I've made a connection with these guys so much. I'm going to continue to stay and be the vet on this squad. I'm going to continue to be, because Corey Joseph, to me, is one of the more, he's going to be a valuable backup if this team is actually winning next year. I listened to some of the other broadcasts, and I've been talking to other scouts. They all say, no, Corey Joseph, one of the most solid backups you can have because of what he will bring to your team intangibly and the fact that you know you can depend on, you know what you're going to get from him. These are the professionals out there. These are, you know, so I know how we might feel in terms of people say, why is Casey playing them, this and the other? one, have y'all seen our point guards with Cade Cunningham out? Killian starting. Jaden Ivey, I don't believe, is in a position to run point guard. You need somebody off the bench like Corey Joseph to come in and settle the ship. Somebody who can come in, understands Casey and his terminology and what the system is that they're trying to instill. You have to have that aspect, that extension of the coach that can speak by way of the player's voice.
Let me say it this way. If you hooped a lot or you played any sport a lot, when you're losing, you get frustrated. And sometimes you just need to sit back and watch what's going on and really just to vent and to unwind and just watch the game for a minute because you're just so in the moment. You need guys to eat minutes. Rodney McGruder last year, a lot of those times, he just came in at 8 minutes, but played well. And Kojo is the same this year. He's just coming in to eat minutes to give guys an opportunity to say, okay, well, we didn't get blown out by 30. It was 20. Or we didn't get blown out and we got real close, but we needed steady play to get us down to the last 4 minutes when we had an opportunity. So you just bridge that gap sometimes. And if you don't have guys who can just eat minutes and play consistent ball and just be vets, they talk about wins above replacement. Well, the replacement guy is a Corey Joseph or a Rodney McGruder who can just run the offense. Just come out here and do this so we can run this play and show you what you should have done when we look at tape. When we look at tape, here's what you should have done and you didn't do. Here's how he played him. Here's how a vet who has been through this has done it. Or when you're on the plane home and you're pissed off and you're talking about whatever, Boyan has a war story to tell you about the time that he was with Utah and they did this in the playoffs and this thing worked, or here's the adjustment, or here's something else. You got a bunch of young guys. What are you going to talk about when you did in AAU? You did this your 1 year in college. We had this one game against NC State so you need those vets, and it's so valuable. And fans don't get that. They're results oriented. It's a zero-sum game for them of you've got to do this, or if you don't, well, what are we going to do?
Yeah. You brought up a lot of great points there. A lot of great points, because when you're trying to teach your squad, imagine if you had to go and get film from another team running the plays you're trying to teach your team and study that. Instead, they can literally go and show Kojo doing it. Now, that's two things at once. Your young player is going to see how it's supposed to be done, but your young player who's supposed to take the lead from Corey Joseph is going to be like, dang, I'm not doing this. It puts a certain amount of responsibility and pressure on that young player, good amount of pressure to get it right. And when you got a guy like Corey Joseph, when I've had the opportunity to see him in person interact, he just wants those guys to win. He's not the vet who's trying to block them. He wants them to do good. When Killian had that game where he hit those 2 big threes in overtime, did you see Corey Joseph? Did you see Magruder? Did you see them? Those boys look like they just saw the birth of their child. They look like, man, my son is a man now. That's what I saw out of them, and that's what I want. It was the same vibe that people liked out of Anthony Tolliver. You could tell that the Tolliver's, he was just about these young guys and trying to do whatever his role is, and he would talk about it. Like, look, I'm here to do my job. I'm not here to just loaf. I'm not here to just pick up a check. I'll get out there and run. Like, I remember he had a game where he had a interview like that, and he was like, but I'm here realistically to support the vision of the organization. And that's what I love. When you got guys like that, Corey Joseph is completely bought in. How do the young players know how to buy in if they don't see it?
But for vets like that, you know what that is? That's what helps you stick in the league for a long time. Those guys may not be the best, and you might say there's 100 guys in the league better or not in the league, in the G League, that you would rather have. But why is Corey Joseph on a roster? Why is Rodney McGruder on a roster? Because they know their role, they're going to play their role, and they're going to make those young guys better. And it's not about them coming in and scoring 30 at any juncture. When Rodney McGruder's got that hot hand, is he in here trying to shoot every time? No, he's trying to run the offense. And if the offense dictates that shot's there for him, he takes that shot then. But how many bad shots? Think through the years. How many bad shots has Rodney McGruder taken? Bad shots. Very few. Very few.
Man, very few.
How many bad shots has Corey Joseph taken? They don't take bad shots because they know their role. They know what they're supposed to do, and they come in and execute.
Yep. And it's a great thing as well. You know, I'm going to bring up Corey Joseph's stats here in a minute. But I wanted to talk about, even though Cade has been out, now that they know he's gone for the year, who needs to change their focus to take better advantage of this opportunity? I stated on one of our previous podcasts that you usually with a guy like Killian Hayes, you usually don't get a second chance like this.
Mm-hmm.
Even if long term he's still coming off the bench, it'll be different. If he proves himself, it'd be more like a Jamal Crawford. More like he's not supposed to be on the bench, but because our squad is trying to be a little bit different than the OKC team who couldn't figure out how to keep their big four together. If Killian knows I'm that deal off the bench, he's that deal off the bench. We see him confidently playing in the space of starting. If they can figure out some way when Cade gets back and Killian is on the team to continue the same type of play and aggressiveness and confidence and three-point shooting that we've seen, this team is better for it. And I believe Killian is better for it. He's the number one person I think everybody, their minds instantly go towards when you think who needs to really take advantage of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's the second time from the start. I want to see him go out there and direct the offense. I want to see him go out there and aggressively look for his. Because I saw when he moved to the second unit, it seemed like he was trying to run the offense more than play the way he did in preseason. I don't believe Killian's the type of guard who we want to see him probing to just make a play. Go out there and hoop. Killian has shown me that he's a hooper, man. That overtime game where his confidence just went up, and he was just absolutely, you saw him bouncing around the court, doing all the hand motions, doing all of the stuff, making the faces, the grimaces that we talked about when we see good Killian, doing all of that stuff, but way more. I'm talking about just really into it. I haven't seen that Killian yet. I haven't seen that one. I want to see more of it, and it's made me excited. He's obviously player 1A that I want to really, really, really take advantage of this opportunity, be a starter, be a leader. He started off the year stating he wanted to be a defensive leader. Get there. His defense has picked up over the last, I would say, about week or so. Really, 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 really picked up. He's been back in people's jerseys. That's what we talked about in the summer, man. Killian got these games where he's like wearing people's jerseys. His defense is so good. And I see it rubbing off on people like Jaden Ivey. Secondly, the person I want to see really, really take advantage, honestly, I was thinking Jaden Ivey when I was going through this, but I really want to see Jalen.
Say, oh, yes.
I want to.
Yes.
Jalen, he got moved into that starting lineup, and man, oh man, he makes an impact, man, on both ends of the court. Both ends of the court. Jaden Ivey, he's gonna get his time. But Jalen Duren is the one who we've been like waiting to see. Can he start? First was, can he play? Can he come off the bench? Can he pass the big man triage? Then it was like, he can pass that. Can he start? And everybody's been clamoring for it. Now he got those starter minutes. He did really, really, really well his first game with the 12 and 13. Second game was about 3 points, 13 rebounds, though. Big in the middle. So it's like Jalen Duren, that's who I'm hoping can really, really, really take advantage of this time. Now, I've seen some versatile aspects to his game. But what makes you so excited about Jalen Duren potentially having an opportunity to really step up and show more out of his game?
Here's what has me excited in the first place is that we're starting to think alike. You're starting to understand and channel the kind of thoughts that I have, which is outstanding. I love it. But I want to see both of those guys, and we've seen Killian as use a lob threat and him as a passer. If he can become that with Duren, that those two young guys, because this season, for whatever it is, they're probably not making the playoffs. We said before, they're probably not making the playoffs with Cade. It's going to be an uphill battle. Now I want to see other things start to materialize.
Exactly.
And if Duren becomes a starter, and if Killian becomes, because this Cade thing may be something that we start to see every year, that maybe he's not an 82 game guy. Maybe he's a
like load management and such.
Yeah. Maybe he's a guy that you have to manage a little bit different with his games. And maybe Killian starts to start a little bit more. And in any case, just as you said, with that second group, if Killian gains that confidence and becomes that guy, then you applaud that too. But I'm excited to see what he and Duren can do together, and how that impacts the rest of this young group. That this isn't about wins necessarily anymore. Now it really is about, let's see the pieces that we need and the pieces that we're going to ship off. And it's not automatically Bogdanovich. It might be some other guys, because again, all of these guys have very reasonable contracts, very reasonable contracts. So there's nothing that you can say, we're not trading this guy, or we're not moving this guy. I think you just want to see what guys can do. And Sadiq going to the bench isn't necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean he's the next guy to get dealt. It just means this is what this team needs now to sort of flesh out some of these things and see where they are.
Yeah. And that's I think one of the positives out of the Sadiq Bey situation is that Dwayne Casey has tried to stay ahead of it. He has spoken glowingly of Sadiq Bey in this. He said, we went to Sadiq, we asked him. He also had some thought process too. His thought process was, hey, I need to get my usage up. I want to be able to affect the team positively. The team said, would you mind coming off the bench? And they said that Sadiq Bey handled it like a pro. You want those guys on your team who are just willing to do whatever it takes, because we had guys in the past, like from the Bad Boys years, who they didn't really like. I don't want to come off the bench. They were shipped out of here quickly. We got a guy who, remember, we talked about Troy Weaver is a guy who has perspective from the OKC years. They didn't drive Serge, KD, Russ and those guys and James Harden so that they could break them up. They didn't do that for that reason. Obviously, you flip those top picks for if they can't find a way to play together for more picks, but then you continue to find yourself in a reoccurring cycle of, are these high-level draft picks going to want to play together? But with this group of guys, you have guys like Killian, Cade, Sadiq, Stu, who have all, with the exception of Cade, they've all moved around in the lineup without complaint, bro. And they have actually, some of them have taken those times to improve. It's almost as if Troy has told these guys, listen, it's about this family. It's about what we can accomplish. They probably looked at the end of OKC and realized, unless these guys go championship hunting like KD did at this stage of his career, what are they going to have to their name to accomplish that they've accomplished? That OKC team, what do they have? So I know that this squad is not one we can compare necessarily to that, but at least at the beginning stages, I see these young players here making a determined decision to say, you know what, I want what's best for the organization. Even if I get traded, even if I'm not here next year, I'm not going to cause or ruffle any feathers. I'm going to come in here and work hard. I'm going to, in the offseason, do what I know to do to get better. These are the things that I see out of these players. And Sadiq Bey is somebody I'm not trying to run out of town. I'm not trying to trade. Obviously, if someone's going to offer you the two first-round picks or a lottery pick in the draft, you think about it. This is not Jeremy Grant trade, where obviously he's a little bit older. He might not fit with your core. You did not draft him to your squad. And he's a player that can immediately help a contender. That was a totally different situation. This is Sadiq Bey, man. We just drafted this man. He's put up great stats, and in his game has shown to change based on the makeup that you put around him. That's what we see. So it's not, I don't believe he's somebody you need to ship out. I see a lot of fans talking about that. I believe he's somebody that this team is just a work in progress. And Casey's continued to say, I see him as a starter. He's doing the team a solid right now. Now, if he so happens to be a part of some trade or something, I'm not going to be surprised, because we started the year as well saying Troy might be 2 or 3 people out of here by the end of the year based on the way he does things. But Sadiq Bey is one of those guys who I want to see him. He's probably third on my list for really taking advantage of this time with Cade out, with Killian kind of moving up to that first unit, Jalen Duren moving up to that first unit. It really is kind of the Sadiq Bey and Alec Burks show off the bench. I just want to see him really, really settle into that. I thought he acquitted himself quite well towards the end of that Lakers game. Hit a couple big shots towards the end of it to kind of keep the Pistons close. And I love that role for him. I love seeing him kind of be more of a spot-up shooter too. He did that a couple times. So he's probably third on my list, man. My guys that I want to see really, really step up and take advantage: Killian Hayes, Jalen Duren, and Sadiq Bey.
No, I think you got that.
Yeah. Other than that, man, there's been a little bit of rumblings, and we'll close on this one. There's been some rumblings, right? People are still wondering or contemplating the draft. They're still wondering, like, is Jaden Ivey the guy? Should have been Sharpe or Shaedon Sharpe, who Portland took, or Bennedict Mathurin, who's out with the Pacers. And I see what these guys are doing. I like what they are bringing to the table in some regard. I want to be able to look at Ben Mathurin a little bit more both ways, defensively, offensively. What is he bringing? Can he fit? Does he have to have the ball in his hands at all time? Would he have been a player that we drafted here and couldn't work with our starting lineup? You know, would he have been a player that has to come off the bench and things of that nature? With Jaden Ivey, one of the most impressive things to me was this. When we realized all these guys have top 5 talent, you know what I mean? We realized that the top 7 guys could have been taken anywhere in the top 5, top 7 or 8 guys. When we did our pre-draft, we realized that. Our pre-draft coverage. But with Ivey, and it's not just the intangibles of his connections to the city and his love for the city, but the desire to be here and the desire to be great for the city. Those are intangibles that you don't always have in players. You see guys get traded to places, you see guys get drafted to places, and you could tell the whole entire time, I'm biding my time here. I don't believe Blake Griffin wanted to be in Detroit. And I believe it was on his face. I think he played hard, but I don't believe that this is actually where he wanted to be. And I'm not speaking from a place of knowledge. I'm just speaking from a place of during that time being a fan and hearing and seeing guys like Anthony Tolliver, as well as other guys like Cade Cunningham, and you see how they're carrying themselves and how they are speaking about the city and what they want to do. And then you see some guys who are like, they're going to take it professionally, but that's about all that they have. With Jaden Ivey and his whole family, man, you see people who are like, yo, we got to be great. We got to bring a championship. We have to do this. My legacy is tied to this. There's a whole different level of work that's going to go into it. And then Jaden Ivey came into the league and showed more than we thought he had. The type of skill set he has is not something that just grows on trees, man. So would I want him to be, this gunner that could just go out there and score like Mathurin? This athletic freak of nature like Sharpe? These were things we knew coming into it. We wanted Jaden Ivey for the reason that we got Jaden Ivey, man. His speed, his shiftiness, his playmaking off of that. These things to me, I believe, are better than how Mathurin and Sharpe do those same things. And for the makeup of this squad, with Cade, with Killian, with Sadiq, with some of these guys, I do believe that Jaden Ivey fits just slightly better than Mathurin or Sharpe, just slightly better. Then the other caveat that helps that for me is looking ahead at this current draft that's coming up. If the Pistons wanted to snag an all-out 2-guard gunner, a shooting guard, they could still do that, and it would still have Jaden Ivey. Have you, I don't think people understand that 6'5", kind of Dwayne Wade-esque, John Morant kind of build, shiftiness, speed, that stuff, you can't teach that. You can teach Jaden Ivey how to shoot. You can get him better at that. We've seen him come into the league this year, and he's significantly better than I think any of us thought he was from 3. Coming into the league, we all thought it was going to be a struggle for him from outside shooting. Well, this year, let's see what he's doing.
30%.
30%. 30%. That's what we want. We say, hey, look, let's see if Ivey can get us at least 30%. I remember Jeff and I talking ad nauseum about that. Can he give us 30%? Can he play make? And will his speed get him in trouble, or can he play composed within it? He's answered all those check marks. I didn't think Ivey was going to come in and hit off for 25 points a game. I didn't believe he was going to come in and hit 20 and look like the type of scorer that Mathurin was. I believed he was going to come in and be the type of player that whether he's scoring or not, he's going to be making an impact. I've seen him really, really, really get into the passing lanes more. I've seen him be effectively the one-man fast break. Someone that Killian can just look up and, he's already down there. These are like the little tiny things that I think about when I'm talking about what type of player you want to mesh and fit with the team that Troy Weaver is building. So I do want your thoughts on it, man. The Ivey, Mathurin, Sharpe, and kind of some of the hypotheticals that are popping up around, Pistons social media world. What is your takeaway from it? Because I believe Sharpe and Mathurin are fine players, good players, going to be really good players. But I don't know, man. Jaden Ivey just has these qualities to me that I want him in a Piston jersey.
Well, full disclosure, when the mock drafts were coming out and it was sort of Ivey's going to be gone, and it was, do you want Mathurin or Sharpe or anybody else? I was Mathurin. I got converted to a Mathurin somewhere in the summer. It was sort of, well, this dude can shoot. This dude can ball, and he's a scorer, and he's 6'6", and you take that every time. And that was with the belief that Ivey just would not be there, period. And so given that I would say I was a Mathurin guy just from the entire package and what it looked like.
Yep.
And I never was Sharpe. I never was a guy who said, well, there are too many question marks there that at that high in the draft, you need a sure thing. And I think of the three, Ivey and Mathurin are the sure things. And I don't want to take a 25 game sample size and say this guy won or they made the right choice in this.
Yeah.
I think you got to let that play out a little bit more. But from what we've seen from Ivey, I like your point about the speed and the intangibles. You can't teach those things. And the 30% from three is maybe it was, people thought it wouldn't be that high. 40% from the field wouldn't be that high. And so that's just enough to build on for me to say those other things are going to come into play. And he's so often compared to Ja. Where does Ja shoot from three? It's probably in that same range. But the point is he doesn't need to. And so I think when Ja's at 35 this year, 35 and a half. So if the other stuff is going to come and you just don't take a short-term look at this, I think you got to let it play out a little bit more. But the fact that the Pistons didn't hesitate at all with that, when it came their turn to pick and Ivey's still on the board, they're like, boom, done. We're not even, it's not even a question which way we're going. Then I think that says that they put more work into it and more thought, and they know what the better fit for their team is going to be.
Yo, the stats are interesting here. Now, Jaden Ivey is up to 15.3 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, showing that all-around play. Remember, the assists and three-point shooting were two things that they wanted to see more out of because he wasn't, like Jeff asked, we're going to make sure he gets his credit for his term. What was he asked to do? Now he's asked to play defense. He's doing that well. He's asked to play make. He's doing that well. He's asked to score. He's doing that well. He's asked to rebound. He's doing that well. In in comparison, Bennedict Mathurin scoring a little bit better, but 17.6 points per game. So 2 points, a basket or a free throw, a game higher than Jaden Ivey. That's it. 4 rebounds. So he's trailing in the rebounds and only 1.5 assists per game. So when you look at points, total points that Jaden Ivey is responsible for per game, he's higher than what Bennedict Mathurin is at. Bennedict Mathurin's 1.5 assists, only producing about 3 points per game. Jaden Ivey's 4 assists. I want to get his. I didn't look up what his 4 assists are producing per game, but I would happen to believe that it's going to be more than 8 points, especially if he's passing the Bojan at all. Yeah, but at the very least, his points responsible are going to be the 8 points plus his 8 points off the assists, and then the 15 points per game. That's a huge impact. And I don't know if people are actually looking at all the things that Jaden Ivey is bringing to the table. And he's not even, to be out rebounding, and out assisting at 6'4", 6'5", whereas Mathurin is 6'6". I remember when we were going through our pre-draft stuff, Mathurin was the guy we were like, if it's not Ivey, we all, you're right. I remember that now. We all were like, if it's not Ivey, because we thought he was gone. We said we wanted Mathurin over Keegan.
Yep.
I remember that because he can shoot the ball. But I don't know, man. When I look at Ivey, I see this kind of all-around threat. I still feel more Dwayne Wade than than John Morant. Even though there's going to be that same kind of John Morant, similar build, similar look, similar play styles to a degree. But when you look at the overall play, I feel like Jaden Ivey is one of those guys who's going to get eventually to that 25-5 mark.
Yep.
Easily. This is his rookie season, man. This is what Cade Cunningham ended his rookie campaign with, these types of stats. Jaden Ivey's come in and just absolutely I don't know, just right off the gate, man. He's just doing good things. Now, 2-point field goal percentage and his effective field goal percentage is something I wanted to look at as well in comparison to Bennedict Mathurin. Bennedict Mathurin is at about 46% 2-point field goal percentage and 48% effective field goal percentage. Jaden Ivey's at 46% 2-point field goal percentage. So the deficiency in their scoring literally is just the 3-point shot right now.
Yeah. It's razor thin. It's razor thin. The truth. I mean, not razor thin, because 35 and 30 is a big difference, and they're shooting about the same volume of three. Yeah. But it's what you're being asked to do. You're rolling with a starting unit, which means you're being, in theory, defended by better defenders as opposed to rolling with second units. If you put Jaden Ivey with a second unit, are those numbers going to creep up a little bit more? Probably. So, yeah. I mean, it's still kind of apples and oranges when you start breaking the stats down, where they're playing and what they're being asked to do. but I think there's still a lot more to go, and we'll get through this in some time.
We will. And one of the cool things here is that Jaden Ivey, he's just like you said, it's the opportunities. Mathurin is having great opportunity right now on his squad, and I'm looking at it in the advanced stats as well. He's also getting a way more favorable whistle. The free throw rate that we thought Jaden Ivey should have, Bennedict Mathurin has. He's at 43%, man. 43 as a 3-point shooter. I don't even know how it's that high.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. With the style of game that Jaden Ivey plays, Jaden Ivey's free throw rate is it's only at 32% still, which is it's higher than where it started, and it's higher than Cade Cunningham's, which is trash. But
tell them how you feel.
Cade Cunningham don't get no fouls, dog. Like, goodness gracious, it gets on my nerves. They need to fix that. Like, the Pistons need to send that memo into the league if they haven't, because it's trash. I'm just straight up with that one. Jaden Ivey needs to get up a little bit higher, but I feel like with rookies, they're going to make them earn that. But with Ben Mathurin getting that 42%, I'm like, man, help my boy out, man. Give Jaden Ivey get him up to at least 38%, 40%.
Help
get
that
him up
man.
there, man.
Help that man.
Help that boy out. But look, overall, Ivey's my guy. Ivey's my guy, dog. Look, when I got into the numbers of it all, I was like, Mathurin looks so appealing. But I just feel like Jaden Ivey is a Detroit Piston through and through, man. I do. His toughness, just the way he plays, that grit. He wants to be in people's faces. You know me. I look at the players' faces, the scowls and all of that, man. It's just different. It's different. It's different, man.
And he's got a basketball brain, having grown up in that environment. So he thinks it a little bit different, and it's just going to come through. It's just going to take some time. And again, I'm not one to say, hey, Troy got this wrong, because it just doesn't happen enough for me to believe that's the situation. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Does Troy ever get anything wrong? No, let me think about it. People could say, hey, yeah, that was the wrong draft pick. People want to criticize Killian. Some people want to criticize Ivey. If he flips Killian, though, like, right, all the things that people could say were mistakes, hasn't he flipped those things? Yeah, and like that's what I'm saying. Like Jeremy Grant, y'all ain't gonna get nothing from him. Y'all ain't gonna get no first round pick. His contract too big. Blah blah blah. Bro, we got half a whole team in a draft pick in return for Jeremy Grant. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got Jalen Duren and like 4 Knicks players. We had the opportunity to just say, hey, Kimber, we're just gonna chill for a second before we even make a decision. Like that's what he did. So I'm not even worried. When people start making all that, oh man, y'all being too soft on Troy, y'all this, y'all that. I'm like, how? Y'all were the people telling me that Jeremy Grant was gonna be nothing. Y'all were the people telling me that when he signed him, it was a bust. Y'all were the people crying about Luke Kennard and Bruce Brown getting traded. Like, you know what I'm saying? These are those same people, man. These are the same people who, when we signed Josh Jackson and Trey Lyles, was like, what the heck? Then when they're traded for Marvin Bagley, people are like, oh
yeah, okay, he might have got that right.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I don't ever look at this. If you're going to judge these Pistons, this is not the previous GMs and interims and coaches doing the GM job. This is a professional who's been in player evaluation, recruiting for his whole basketball career, man. I look back just to look at Troy. You know, you want to know the people that you're covering. Like, this guy is basketball player evaluation, period. Which means if a player does not continue on in their trajectory, he doesn't control that. He don't control if Killian comes in and turns his confidence on. He knows the skill he has. He does. But he controls how he fixes that, though.
Right. And he that's up to the coach to do, but you have the right coach to bring that stuff out.
Yep.
And if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. He knows when to cut bait. Yep. And even when he makes a trade, he still wins. Even when you're trying to cut bait and you win the trade of you cutting bait, that's I'm done. It's
rap.
So you get a Josh Jackson and a Trey Lyles that
agrees with you.
That you're just supposed to these guys are just supposed to be here. They're not even supposed to be building blocks for anything. We're gonna see what we got. So we're going to do Fred G. Sanford, and we're going to bring, not that they're junk, and I don't want to say they're junk. We're going to bring in some stuff, and we're going to sell it for more than we paid for it. And we're going to get something better. Yep. Yeah, I can't even talk to people. I'm done with it. I'm
done with it, bro. Whenever you know your GM got Marvin Bagley for Trey Lyles and Josh Jackson, stop, bro. See his move. No. And then on top of that, Like you said, you text me after the Jeremy Grant trade, like, bro, wait for the rest of it.
Yeah.
This ain't for no 25th pick in the first round. Wait. So it's like, look, you guys, wait on it. Wait on it. If Jaden Ivey's here, it's for a specific reason, man. If Corey Joseph is here, it's for a specific reason. And if Killian Hayes is here, it's for a specific reason. But I do want you all put in the comments, let me know who are your top 3 Pistons that you want to see take advantage of the opportunity this year to just go out and improve, go out and lock down a position, go out there and show that you belong while Cade Cunningham is out for the year. And I also want you all to tell me what your thoughts on Ivey, Sharpe, and Mathurin. If you did the redraft, all those guys are available for the Pistons. You still going with Jaden Ivey, or two of the other 2 guys, are they a little bit more attractive to you? But look, we're going to shut it down now. For Jeff Fire Freddy, Mr. Everything, my name is Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, and we're going to get this drum roll going for the legend. Hey, yo, Detroit News, Rod Beard. Man, bro, as always, the conversations are great. Thank you all for rocking out with us, man. Any last words, Rod?
No, just have a good week, man. Just rock with these Pistons, and we'll see what the rest of this year looks like.
Definitely, man. Look, it's gonna be a good year. If people can take a step back, I know people are ready to win. It's been a long time. We're gonna get there. Just take a step back. It's coming, y'all. Restoration is on the way. We will get back. I've been trying to tell people, look, Rod, I'm gonna have a whole new home set up. And soon, this current Pistons team, man, I believe this squad with Cade Cunningham, with Ivey, these guys, they're going to make us proud. I really do.